The cool thing that we're doing here is in the way how we communicate around the OKRs. I think those are the stories that make people want to learn more about this because this is their daily life.
So it's really about authenticity and just telling exactly what happened in your own words.
Tell me what's going on, right? So, what's happening in your mind when I interrupt you?
I guess just the very fact of asking people to tell their side of a story also teaches people all the time that their perspective may not be somebody else's perspective. For every language you speak, for every country you live in, you become a different person, right? Being able to mix all these cultures gives you so much more flexibility and different ways of approaching problems than people who've always lived in the same culture would be able to do.
I see HR very much as a social science. So, especially in an HR role in tech, you are a business leader and
Mhm.
you have to have that commercial mindset to connect how the work you're doing in HR impacts the bottom line. My approach is always do what you can to make sure that the person feels like a full human being, like a respected person when
Mhm.
they the company. They walk out with their head held high. People as human beings, 99.9% of the time, people will not turn against the company because
Mhm.
they're still connected. They still have friends there. They still have an interest in making that company they used to work for look good.
Everyone has to go through one, two, maybe three reduction in force rounds at some point in time. It's less about it might happen and it's probably going to happen at some point in time.
It's painful, but it doesn't break everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. It's something that they have to go through once to realize that this is part of a competence in a way that they have to build up.
I think the purely legal driven. So if there isn't that healthy balance between human and legal, I think
Hmm.
that usually ends up bad because people feel really I can't think of the English word, but it feels like a slap in the face. Your email access is terminated. Nobody
Hmm.
knows where to find you anymore, and you're gone, right? So that's a big mistake because one of the things that we took away from Scandit is we've now got a really strong and vibrant alumni network. You're part of building something different. You're part of changing the world in a small way. And that is something that you couldn't pay me enough to go away from this environment. If you
Does
talk to the engineers, seeing your fingerprints on the code, knowing that that piece of code that you wrote is protecting people from being scammed online, right? So
right.
that knowledge is extremely powerful. And you don't get that if you work for Visa or MasterCard, right? Well, you tend to have work-life balance challenges and you tend to see more burnout in our environment and you tend to see more people really going to the extremes of especially if they're solving a really tricky problem, right? Then they defined kindness as letting each other know where I am and what I can do and what I can contribute and how
Hmm.
you, but also where my helping stops. So we would treat AI like a junior team member and say, that's a great first draft. Let me read that. Let me correct
Exactly.
it, throw it back. Radical Recruit is a headhunter agency, you might say, that is specialized in finding jobs for unhoused people, the UK particularly. And they are very proud to have placed a large number of people into very good jobs. It was baked in. It was definitely baked in. It was the desired behavior that my mom instilled in me, and I enjoyed it. I remember my grandmother, who was a big role model for me. In her late 80s, she lived up on the hillside and she would cycle down the hill into the town to help the old folks. Back in the day, you had one bath a week. So if you were living in a normal mainstream household, that was okay. If
Hmm.
you were getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to muck out the pigsty, that was not okay. So in modern parlance, you would say I was an ally. I was there for him. I was 24 years old, in charge of cultural integration, my first job ever in HR. And of course, he was there and he was coaching me and helping me in the background,
Right.
but I got all the glory, and that was a really good experience.
Looking back, Gerlinde, what would a little girl who was traveling the world think of who you've become?
That's a very good question. What would she think? I think she would be impressed that I am living in Switzerland.